Welcome to the Sad Crime Channel. Today's story took place in Deltona, Florida on February 27, 2018. Patrick Kane de la Cerda was born on June 4, 1992, in Miami, Florida, to parents Patricia Ronza and Max de la Cerda. He had a brother named Bryce and a half-brother named Justin. Patrick was known for his optimism and bright personality. Patrick was sociable and enjoyed surrounding himself with people. He approached life with optimism, appreciating the simple pleasures of daily life, but he also liked to be the center of attention. He was incredibly charismatic, attracting attention and intrigue, especially from women. On the other hand, he was a true romantic, and he loved children, hoping to become a father in the future. Patrick worked alongside his father. They ran a construction business and took on various projects throughout the state. As for his love life, Patrick was also doing well in that area. In June 2017, he met Jessica Devnani, who was few years older than him, on a dating site. Jessica worked as a bank teller. It was practically love at first sight. The two of them had thousands of topics in common during their first meeting, and there was an immediate spark between them. Patrick's mother recalls that one evening her son announced that he had found the one. The couple got along wonderfully, and it was clear they were deeply in love. So, no one was surprised when after 6 months of dating, in December 2017, Patrick decided to propose. The decision was spontaneous, as when he knelt before his fiancée, he had a temporary ring. Jessica, of course, said yes, and they began making plans for their wedding, moving in together and starting a family. Patrick ordered a special, one-of-a-kind engagement ring to replace the temporary one he had given her earlier. He couldn't wait to receive his order, so when he received a message from his father on February 27, 2018, informing him that the courier would soon arrive at their home, he immediately headed to the door, but then unexpectedly stopped responding to anyone. His fiancée, Jessica, was surprised when she didn't receive a text from Patrick in the morning. He also didn't call her, as he usually did, when she was getting ready for work. On the night of February 26, 2018, Patrick left her a heartfelt voicemail. "I love you. Good night, sweet dreams. In the morning, I'll call you. I'll send you a text when I wake up a little later, all right? Love you. Good night. Bye." Jessica went to work, but something troubled her. She had a bad feeling and was worried about Patrick, so she texted his father to ask if he had been in contact with his son that day. His father, too, grew concerned when he realized that he had texted Patrick earlier, asking him to collect a package around 7:30 a.m., but Patrick neither responded nor called back. At the time, Patrick's father was at work, quite far from home. Patrick lived with him and his then-partner Shannon. Patrick's father decided to contact his partner and asked her to check if everything was okay with Patrick. Shannon headed towards the house and arrived around 11:30 a.m. The first thing she noticed was that the front door was open. She then spotted shards of glass scattered along the hallway. They were everywhere. At the foot of the stairs, she found Patrick lying in a pool of blood, motionless. Unfortunately, nothing could be done to help him. His pulse was undetectable, and his body felt cold to the touch. It was clear that the man had passed away. At first glance, it was also evident that he had been shot multiple times. Shannon immediately dialed the emergency services number. Soon after, Jessica arrived at the scene, also concerned about her fiancé. Sadly, she was met with devastating news. As she recalls, in that moment, her life shattered. Everything she had been waiting for would never come. The police arrived shortly thereafter, and armed officers surrounded the building. They feared the perpetrator might still be inside or nearby. It quickly became clear, however, that the shooter had long since fled the scene. Everything pointed to the fact that Patrick had been shot the moment he opened the door. The assailant had apparently been waiting for the victim to appear at the threshold and then fired 4 shots, 2 to the head, one to the chest and one to the hip. Patrick collapsed backwards and fell down the stairs. When he was found, his feet were still on the second-to-last step. It appeared to be a targeted attack, not a random one. The attacker seemed to have planned to kill Patrick, and there was a clear motive for the crime. However, the police still did not know what that motive was. At the scene, 2 shell casings and bullets were secured. Investigators also noticed cameras installed in front of the house. However, it soon emerged that the cameras would provide no useful information, as the perpetrator had taken the hard drive containing the footage. In addition, he had stolen Patrick's computer. Early in the investigation, detectives uncovered reports of 2 separate incidents. One had occurred in late 2017, and the other a few weeks later. Both incidents had involved Patrick. He had claimed that a neighbour had shot at him, and later that the neighbour had aimed a gun at him. Not long after, Patrick was fatally shot, so the officers believed it could not have been a coincidence. Patrick's neighbour was a war veteran suffering from dementia. It was alleged that he mistook Patrick for a burglar, which led him to grab his weapon. An argument ensued between them. However, investigators later discovered that at the time of the murder, Patrick's neighbour was in custody. He was therefore excluded from the list of suspects. The police concluded that the perpetrator must have been lying in wait near Patrick's house. They knew that Patrick was expecting a delivery that fateful day. The house where Patrick lived was situated in Deltona, in a heavily wooded area. There was only one access road leading to it, and the residents of the area were protected by a gated entrance. However, the gate had an instruction for couriers. If they had a package for someone, they should call a specified number. This number belonged to Max, Patrick's father. On that morning, Max received a call from the courier, who informed him that he had a package for Patrick. Max knew his son was waiting for a package containing a ring for Jessica, so he opened the gate and informed Patrick that his package would be arriving soon. Patrick didn't answer, so Max sent him a text. Investigators later determined that this was likely how the attacker appeared at the front of Patrick's house. They then decided to question Jessica and other members of Patrick's family. They wanted to know if he had any enemies. That was when one person rose to the top of the list of suspects, Jessica's ex-partner, Gregory Bender. Gregory had threatened both Jessica and Patrick. He was furious that the 2 of them were seeing each other. Jessica and Gregory Bender were in a relationship for 8 years. From the very beginning, their relationship was tumultuous and complicated. At times, they loved each other, and at others, they couldn't stand each other. They met online in 2009, when Gregory was 42 and Jessica was 20. Gregory was a well-educated, successful investment coordinator. He was intelligent, charismatic, and capable of being incredibly charming. Jessica recalls that when they met, she was young and naive. They first became friends, and later their feelings for each other grew. From the start, Gregory was exceptionally jealous. He controlled Jessica at every turn, was possessive, and manipulated her. If any man admired her too much in his opinion, he immediately became a target. Gregory would stalk these men and then threaten them. Despite this, Jessica remained with him. She was in love with him and tried to ignore the warning signs. When Gregory proposed to her, she agreed. Years passed, and at the beginning of 2016, Gregory ended up in the hospital. Jessica decided to visit him, only to be shocked when she saw another woman by his bedside. The woman, equally surprised, asked Jessica who she was. Jessica explained that she was Gregory's fiancée, to which the woman responded that she was his wife. Jessica was in shock. Gregory only reached out to her a few days later, explaining that he had married and moved in with Damara Sanchez in his expensive apartment to help her son get into his dream school. He assured Jessica that it was a purely business arrangement, with no feelings involved. Jessica gave him an ultimatum. Either he would divorce by the end of the year, or their relationship would be over. December came, and Gregory was still married. Jessica decided to leave him. Not long after, she met Patrick. At first, she kept the relationship a secret, not wanting Gregory to find out, knowing how he could react. However, eventually, Gregory found Patrick's Facebook profile and saw pictures of him with Jessica. He quickly began threatening and stalking her. Gregory sent them strange voice messages, warning that he was planning to take action soon. He claimed he would hire a hitman to kill Patrick, then later assured them that he would do it himself. The couple had had enough and applied for a restraining order. Both of them filed separate requests, but unfortunately, Patrick's was denied. Regardless, a restraining order was imposed against Gregory, prohibiting him from contacting or approaching Jessica. He was also ordered to surrender his collection of weapons to the sheriff's office for safekeeping. Gregory fell silent for several months, and the couple finally felt they could breathe easy, convinced they had escaped the stalker. Patrick installed security cameras and a special gate in front of their house for added safety. Unfortunately, this didn't help. Jessica told the police that on the day Patrick was murdered, Gregory tried to contact her. He called twice, but she had no intention of answering. When she saw his number on her phone screen, she felt a sense of dread and immediately decided to go to Patrick's house, worried for him. The detective handling the case asked her to call Gregory in his presence and try to extract some information. Gregory merely expressed his condolences for Patrick's death. When Jessica reminded him of his threats, he denied them, claiming nothing of the sort had happened. Unfortunately, the police plan didn't work out. Without any concrete evidence, they couldn't arrest Gregory for murder, but they could charge him for violating the restraining order by calling Jessica. Time was running out for the investigators, as they needed evidence for more serious charges. Then, they received a call from Daymara Sanchez, Gregory's ex-wife. It was her lawyer who reached out, saying that Daymara had information that could be crucial. Daymara agreed to meet the detectives in a parking lot, visibly shaken. In December 2017, just before her divorce from Gregory, she found a blue notebook in which her husband had written down his plan to get rid of Patrick. Daymara was certain the handwriting was Gregory's. When she asked him about it, Gregory dismissed it as silly fantasies. She had forgotten about it until she heard the news of Patrick's death on TV. That's when the notebook came back to her mind. This information proved to be critical for the investigators. It led to a search warrant for Gregory's home. In the rubbish bin, they found 2 crumpled pages, which turned out to be the murder plan. The pages bore Gregory's fingerprints. Though the plan didn't exactly match the events, it involved poisoning the victim. Gregory had planned to break into Patrick's apartment and inject him with a lethal dose of drugs. He wrote that he would tell Patrick it was a robbery, not a murder, and that Patrick had to cooperate to survive. If Patrick was still breathing after 15 minutes, Gregory planned to strangle him. The notes showed he had considered every detail, changing license plates, taping his shoes to avoid leaving footprints, turning off his phone, and using a burner phone. He also noted where to hide outside Patrick's house. The plan included a detailed map of Patrick's house and its surroundings, with the address clearly marked. It was evident Gregory had been watching Patrick for some time. The notes contained observations about Patrick's daily routine, his dog, and even the best hiding spots near his house. During the search, detectives also found a large collection of weapons, though the murder weapon itself was not among them. However, they found 2 shell casings identical to those found at the crime scene. The victim had been shot 4 times, but only 2 shell casings were found at the crime scene. The other 2 were in Gregory's home. Gregory had disposed of the gun, but not the casings, which linked him to the crime scene. Jessica confirmed that during their relationship, she had seen Gregory's collection of guns, one of which was likely the weapon used to kill Patrick. At the time of his arrest, Gregory no longer had a permit for his firearm as it had expired. Gregory was formally charged. He had no prior criminal record. The trial began in May 2021. According to the police officers handling the case, the defendant, posing as a courier, gained access to Patrick's property with the intention of killing him. The motive was jealousy. Gregory could not come to terms with the fact that Jessica was building a life with another man. Perhaps he hoped she would return to him, or maybe he simply wanted her to suffer. Jessica testified in court. She spoke about her relationship with Gregory, describing how controlling and jealous he was and how he had threatened both her and Patrick. Gregory had also blackmailed Jessica, threatening to harm her fiancé if she did not meet with him. Jessica agreed to the meetings, during which Gregory had hired a private detective to follow them and record their interactions. The footage showed them having meals together, holding hands, Gregory stroking Jessica's leg, hugging her, kissing her, and tenderly touching her back, as well as entering and leaving his apartment together. Later, all these recordings were handed to Patrick. The couple had a fierce argument, even breaking up for a few days, but they quickly reconciled. The defense attempted to use these films as evidence that the relationship between Jessica and Gregory was far more intimate than it had seemed, suggesting that Jessica had secretly met with her ex while she was already in a relationship. Consequently, the defense tried to prove that Gregory Bender had no reason to kill Patrick. Jessica defended herself, stating that she had attended these meetings solely because her ex-partner had intimidated and blackmailed her. She had simply wanted to appease him and calm him down. Unexpectedly, Gregory's lawyer changed tactics. He began to suggest that there was something more between Jessica and Patrick's father, Max. He insisted that Max was infatuated with his son's fiancée, frequently commenting on how beautiful she was, and perhaps he had wanted to get rid of his son. Max was outraged by these accusations. The defense emphasized that the case was purely circumstantial. There was no murder weapon, no witnesses, no fingerprints or DNA found at the crime scene. Even the alleged murder plan did not match reality, and one could not accuse someone based merely on a fantasy written on paper. As for the shells and ammunition found in Gregory's house, the defense argued that he was a firearms collector with a substantial collection, and that this discovery proved nothing. During the trial, Gregory remained very calm. When his ex-wife was called to testify, he began to cry. During a break in the testimony, he whispered, "I love you," to someone in the courtroom. Among those giving testimony was a specialist in mobile data and location analysis. He determined that both Gregory's mobile phone and a prepaid phone he was carrying were in the same location at the time of the murder. They logged into the same cell tower, which was near the victim's house. It was from the prepaid phone at 7:18 a.m. that Gregory called Patrick's father, posing as a courier. Gregory did not speak in his defense. The lawyers deliberated for 2 hours. Before the verdict was read, the defendant turned his head and stared directly at Jessica. When he heard the word guilty, he showed no emotion. Gregory Bender was convicted of first-degree murder for the 2018 killing of Patrick de la Cerda. In May 2021, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As of July 2023, Bender is incarcerated at the Blackwater River Correctional Facility in Santa Rosa County, Florida. Patrick's father delivered a poignant statement in court. He expressed the profound impact of his son's death on his life, stating, "I never got to say goodbye to my son. I never got to talk to him. Nothing." This statement underscores the deep emotional pain and sense of loss experienced by Max following the tragic death of his son. In addition to his emotional statement about not being able to say goodbye to his son, Max also expressed the devastating effect of the loss on his family. He shared the sorrow that his son's death had caused, particularly how it affected his mother, his brother, and the people who loved him. Max spoke about the pain of having his son's future cut short, and how Patrick was taken away in a senseless act of violence that has left a permanent void in their lives. Max also mentioned how he had always been proud of Patrick and how his son had shown so much promise for the future. The emotional toll of Patrick's murder was clear in Max's words, as he described his ongoing grief and the trauma caused by the brutal crime. These statements were part of the victim impact statements made during Bender's sentencing, where family members and loved ones shared the emotional devastation caused by the crime. Jessica Devnani received the engagement ring from Patrick's family on her 30th birthday, which was March 21st, 2018, just a few weeks after Patrick's tragic death on February 27th, 2018. The ring was a meaningful symbol of the love they shared and the future Patrick had hoped to build with her. This case serves as a tragic reminder of how unchecked emotions and toxic obsession can destroy lives. Let it be a warning to us all about the importance of healthy relationships, trust, and, above all, knowing when to let go. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Stay safe and take care of one another.